No, it'll go. Good morning. It's Bernard Nomberg with another weekly episode of NOMBERG Law Live, and I've got my friend Ida Tyree-Hyche. Good morning, Ida.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning to you, Bernard.
Thank you for being here with us today. Ida is a local attorney in Birmingham, and she is a fantastic lawyer. And one of the many areas that she concentrates in is what we're going to talk about today, and that's veterans' rights and veterans' benefits. And that's such a key area. It's really largely forgotten, and we'll get to it in just a minute because there's so much to cover. So we're going to try to pare it down a little bit. But before we get into that, Ida, if you would, give us a little bit about your background and your law practice and so forth.
Okay. My name is Ida Tyree-Hyche. My law firm is Tyree-Hyche and Dixon, LLC. We're located in Alabama and Georgia. I am a veteran, let me just say that. I retired from the U.S. Army Reserve. I was on active duty a number of years, and I also am a veteran who's on veteran disability benefits.
And Ida, I know that you and your daughter have a thriving practice in 2 states, and I know at times that's probably the most fun, and other times it can be a little frazzling at times, like any law practice. But I know you guys cover several areas, several types of law, including workers' comp and disability, etc. But another area that you handle that not many lawyers handle in our state deal with veterans' rights and veterans' benefits.
Correct.
And there is a large amount. We could spend hours, if not days, talking about all of the different programs. But instead of us getting too deep into it, what I'd like for you to focus on is just talk a little bit about what things are out there that most veterans may not be aware of that are rights and benefits that they probably should pursue.
Well, thanks for asking that question, Bernard. I'm very passionate about veterans' rights, but also for the audience that may be listening to us today, I'd like to say that the most important thing a veteran needs to assess is whether or not he or she needs to be compensated for any kind of injury that was sustained while they were on active duty. And of course, we can't even start talking about whether or not a person is due compensation or disability from the VA unless we know for certain that you qualify as a veteran. And I was mentioning to Bernard earlier that many times there may be some people out there who don't even know that perhaps they do qualify, maybe not as a veteran, but still qualify under that exception to attain veterans benefits or veterans disability benefits. So I was in the Army Reserve, and when I was called to active duty, it was under the Army Reserve. So, and I bring that up because that's the gray area that some Guard and Reserve soldiers may not realize, that they may qualify for veterans disability benefits even though they're not a veteran.
What can you give us, just as maybe a broad stroke to start with, Ida? Let's assume for the purposes of our talk that a person who's coming to you is a veteran. They have qualified as the definition of a veteran. In general, what type of programs and benefits and rights should they, and I know every case is different because it could be a physical injury, it could be a mental injury, it could be help with housing, who knows what it may be. But I just want to throw out there some of these programs that may be available, and I also want to let you guys know that when we finish today, we're going to put in the comments section the links to all of these different programs and places where veterans can go or their family members can go to see whether or not they qualify.
Okay, well, we have the program for applying for disability. There are housing programs that are available through the VA, various services under the VA. There are also many assistance programs through the service organizations like the American Legion. Even if there's someone who thinks they want to file a claim or for anything, whether it's for disability or for some other kind of service, I would suggest that the family member, the dependent family member, or the veteran or veteran him or herself, visit the local or the nearby American Legion, as they also visit the Veterans Hospital or the Veterans Administration where they live. Now, within the VA, also there are programs for persons who are suffering from post-traumatic stress syndromes. There are support group programs. So if you are a veteran and you've never really connected with your local Veterans Administration, I really suggest that you do so, because that's where you're going to find out about all those various programs available. There are eye care programs, dental care programs. So just contact your local VA. It's more about, it's not all about whether or not you are a disabled vet, but just that you're a veteran.
So just assuming that you qualify under the definition of veteran. Let's talk about that for just a second. In a broad terms, what is a definition of a veteran?
All right. Now, that's a definition that, of course, I don't have memorized. Right. So I'm going to read it to you, okay?
Certainly.
Veteran means a person who served on active duty, or naval or air service, and who was discharged or released from that under conditions other than dishonorable. So basically it means what we've always heard before, honorable discharge. That's the clear definition of a veteran. Now, that other area, those persons, National Guard and Reserve members, are not considered veterans unless they were called to active duty by the President of the United States under Title 10. And for those of you who were soldiers or are soldiers, you know, we call them Title 10 orders. And then they have to have served the appropriate amount of time to receive an award for the benefit. Here's the thing, though, that many soldiers don't realize, and that is, even though you're not categorized as a veteran under those two areas I just read to you or told you, disability compensation and disability and indemnity compensation are still available to Reserve and Guard members who were not on active duty, but they sustained an injury and certain medical conditions from active duty training or inactive duty training. Inactive duty training when they go to drill. Active duty training when they do their initial entry training, and when they do their advanced initial training and going to school to learn their trade. Anytime a soldier has sustained an injury during those periods of time, even though they're not categorized as a veteran, they fall kind of like de facto veteran. And so that's a veteran. I don't want us to leave here today thinking that only the person who served active duty for 20 years and got retirement papers is the person eligible for some of these veteran benefits. Now, the benefits that veterans who served on active duty for 20 years get may differ from the benefits, from all the benefits that the inactive duty person, the reserve or the guard person receive because they sustained an injury on active duty. Sometimes we think that we are veterans simply because we retired from the reserve or the guard and we have our green card and we can go utilize the commissary and several other benefits on an installation. It doesn't make you a veteran, it just means that you have those various rights as a retired soldier.
Ida, if you have if a person has any questions whether or not they qualify, they need to be proactive. They need to, am I correct in saying they either need to get online and go to the different websites, again, we'll put those in the comments section, or as you said earlier, go find the American Legion office that's closest to your home, or go to the VA hospital. They always have intake personnel who can start the process for you. Correct.
And I also want to say something, Bernard. That brings up another thought into my mind to share with you, and that is providing proof of service. Now, providing proof of service means that for those persons who are listening to me or watching this live presentation, who are reserve soldiers and you're still a reserve soldier, if you sustain an injury when you're on annual training or advanced initial training or entry-level training, if you sustain an injury, you must get that documented. You must make certain that you get to the nearest healthcare clinic or the hospital on that post or near that post so that it can get documented, because you have to have what's called a line of duty determination. Now, I say that in order to answer Bernard's question or respond to it, because if you can't provide proof of service, then it didn't happen. You got to be able to provide proof of service and proof of injury. And to provide the proof of injury, you need to have had that documented and have medical records from whatever hospital you went to, whether it's a hospital on post or a hospital in the city where you were mobilized. You need to be able to provide that. And in September 2017, kind of good news, the VA started what they called rapid processing by stating that a person could actually file a notice of intent to file an intent to file, and then they have 12 years to gather all their medical documents and build their, not 12 years, I'm sorry, 12 months to build their case. And that's where, this may all be kind of confusing for you. I would say at that particular point, you kind of want to make sure that you contact an attorney and have that attorney work with you on that.
As well as maybe have your family members help you to gather the information, those documents, the medical data that you need.
Correct.
Guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you watching, I'm with Ida Tyree-Hyche. Ida is an attorney here in Birmingham. She's also a veteran. And if I didn't say it earlier, thank you for the service and your time that you've put in to help all of us who have the benefits of what veterans do. What we're talking about today are veterans' rights, veterans' benefits. It really is an area that's so very important to so many, but those many are not well informed about their resources and where they can go. And part of what we're doing today is talking a little bit about where veterans can go or where their family members can go to seek out that help that they may need, whether it's medical care for physical or mental conditions, whether it's certain paperwork, retirement benefits, pension, whatever it may be. You've got to be proactive. You've got to be either whether it's your family members or yourself or with an attorney. And that's what's leading me to this question. Ida, at what point typically do you have veterans coming to you for assistance?
Okay, very good question. Veterans usually come to attorneys for assistance, and particularly me, when they've been denied. That's when you generally want to come to an attorney, because that's at the point where the attorney, who is a certified attorney by the VA to practice in that area, actually will charge you a fee. And the fee is a contingency fee, and it's set by law, and that's 20%. 20% of whatever the disability recovery is.
So that contingency, meaning for those of you who don't know, that's, you don't come out of pocket. You're not actually paying. It comes out of the award.
Comes out of the award. Okay. If there are any expenses that are incurred in processing your claim, then those expenses, you do bear that. You bear that whether if you lose, then you still owe those expenses to the attorney. Prior to that time, as you're gathering the data and etc., sometimes some attorneys really don't want to enter in that phase. That's when, like Bernard said, you're gathering it, you're getting all your paperwork together, you're getting all your medical records together, you're getting evaluations from some of your specialists together. If an attorney comes in at that point, though, the law does now say that the attorney can charge an hourly rate for that. I usually, first of all, I don't charge for that, but I also won't engage you for that. I won't engage the client for that. I'll simply, as one vet to another vet, tell them what they need to do.
Ida, I don't mean to we've got some questions rolling in. I want to throw to you. Jackie asks, and hey to Jackie, Ashley, Ruth, Morris, for you guys tuning in. Thank you for sharing a few minutes with us. When initiating a claim with the Veterans Administration, can an individual do it themselves, or a family member, or an attorney? Who should initiate that process?
Okay, very good question. In initiating a claim with the VA, the veteran can do it him or herself, or the family member, and which is what I suggest, that they start with that. First of all, even submitting an intent to file, which is VA Form 0966.
And
VA form.
can you do that online or do it in person?
You can
or
do it
either?
online.
Mhm.
You can do it online, or you can do it in person.
Okay.
And if you do it online, then it's really pretty simple. There is a place where you electronically sign. What I recommend, though, is that you print it and sign it yourself. Physically sign it. I also recommend, gosh, if you are near a VA regional office, take it in person. They're going to date stamp it. That date stamp is an important date because that date is the date that your claim starts. Which means if you are successful with it, it's going to go back to that date of that intent to file. This was started in 2017, and it's called developing a fully developed claim. The VA is wanting the vet or the vet's family member, whoever's helping the vet, to actually spend time for a whole year gathering and doing everything to build that case and send it in. And at the same time, the claim will start from the date that intent to file was submitted. And it's very simple, a very simple form. So that's what the vet should do first. Just have a family member and the vet work diligently to do that. If you're already in the VA system, have been even being serviced by the VA hospital, get those VA hospital records. Sort your claim out by as you're collecting the data by the type disability that your body part that you're actually seeking disability for. Like, for example, if it's the shoulder, then have all your medical records together for that shoulder injury that you sustained. Have that proof that where and when you sustained that injury, and build your claim from there. But yes, to answer the question, it does not have to be an attorney to start that. You should start that veteran, or the veteran's family member or friend, or anybody who can help the veteran.
Very good. And Ida, as a question that goes along with it, Ashley asks, should I send the VA my medical records, or will they gather them for me?
Very good questions, because sometimes you think that that's what's going to happen. And it does. If you've already been in the system, you're already in the system, VA will have those medical records. They will have those medical records, and they will gather that. But if you've been seeing another doctor outside of the VA system regarding that particular injury, then you need to gather those records for the VA. The VA is going to send you a HIPAA form to sign so that they can gather the other records themselves as well. But remember, it's your claim, and you want to get a successful claim paid without having to go on appeal. So look at it like that and work your case. That's my best answer for that.
I wanted to ask, we're in Birmingham is where Ida and I are talking. You had mentioned VA regional offices. Where's the closest one to say mid-state Alabama?
The closest one to mid-state Alabama is Montgomery. You would and if you can drive to Montgomery, whether you're driving from Mobile or driving from Tuscaloosa, drive to Montgomery and hand carry your records.
Are there offices in each state, or is it by the different parts of the country?
It's by the different parts of the country. It's regional. We have a regional office here in Montgomery. There's a regional office. I have a couple of clients who are in Mississippi, and the regional office in Mississippi is Jackson, Mississippi. Okay. There's a regional office in Georgia, in Newnan, Georgia, and I have some clients where it goes there. So when you go online and you have the information you seek the information for the VA form 21-0966, the intent to file, they will list online. You'll see listed the VA regional office nearest to you based upon cities. So someone may be listening to us here, and you're in Colorado, which the regional office is in Denver. But it'll tell you where your regional office is. I would say if you can go to the regional office, go to the regional office. Mailing it is fine too, but this way you got that date stamp.
And you can get it, make sure that it's done, and you see it get done. Ida, we got another question coming in, but before we get to that, I want to say good morning to Dad. My dad lives down in Gulf Shores, and he's a proud veteran, served in the Vietnam War. Good morning, Dad.
Thank you for your service, Dad.
Thank you, sir. The question that Jackie had a minute ago is, let's say that you've been given a small award on your benefits claim, but you feel you have a bigger claim. Is there an appeal process to get them to reconsider their decision in hopes that maybe you get a bigger award?
Yes, there is. There's an appeal process for a redecision to determine whether or not your injury warrants a greater award. And at that particular time, I really do recommend that you seek an attorney. But if you do not, what you would do is send notification to the VA that you want to have your case reviewed and reanalyzed for increased benefits. And the VA will eventually, as they're processing this, they will contact you and send you to a medical provider for an evaluation, or send you to one of their evaluation stations, which in Birmingham, they've been using the MedHelp over 280, and they'll have a specialist there or whatever, depending upon what your area is, to just do some to do an interview with you and do some testing to determine whether or not there's a need for an increase.
And is there a period of time in which you have to get your appeal in once you get your decision? Meaning,
absolutely.
is there a cutoff time? Meaning you can't wait years down the
You
road.
cannot.
What is typically the cutoff time?
Typically 12 months. And after then, you have to start all over again. So even if you submitted a claim initially and you missed the appeal, you're starting all over again. I recommend that when you start processing your claim, you start keeping up with your timelines, keeping up with deadlines as well for when you submit for a reconsideration or whatever. Because remember that date stamp I told you initially? So let's just say you started filing and you had that intent to file date stamp in 2016, and you had appeals and you process everything timely. When you get an award, it's going to go back to the original date. I don't care if it's 3 or 4 years later. I have a client right now out of Gulfport, Mississippi, where your dad is, and it's been we're on appeal up at the Washington D.C. area level, but when it goes back, and I'm claiming we've already won one half of it. It's been remanded back to Jackson, Mississippi for some more information, but when it goes back, it's going to go back to that initial claim filing because there was never a break and all timely deadlines were met. So a good question, because you really need to know that.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, we're with Ida Tyree-Hyche. We're talking such an important area that doesn't get nearly enough attention. We're talking about veterans' rights, veterans' benefits. And after the interview, we'll put in the comment section several links to areas online for resources for veterans or their family members who are seeking out benefits and want to learn more. And Ida, thank you for such expertise and such great information that you're sharing with folks. If there are veterans or family members out there who want to learn more or think they may need an attorney, how can people reach you?
Well, you can reach me by calling 205-777-5220. We're also online. You can go online at www.thdlegal.com, or we have a Facebook page, and it's under Tyree-Hyche and Dixon Alabama office, and there's another one under Tyree-Hyche and Dixon Atlanta office.
I was getting ready to say, even though we're sitting in Birmingham today, I see online the Atlanta office is represented online. Miss Dixon is watching us, and good morning, and thanks for tuning in. What's the Atlanta office number? If you don't know it, then we'll get them to put it in the comment section.
Okay. I'm going to ask Attorney Dixon to put in the comment section the Atlanta office phone number. As you can tell, friends, I very seldom call there, right?
I want to pivot off of this for just a minute because locally you are helping to organize an annual workers' compensation seminar that's coming up next month. Correct. Give us a little bit of information. Where's it going to be held? What date? What can we expect?
It's going to be held Friday, September 14th at Henniger and Garrison Moot Court Trial Courtroom. And we're going to be talking, it's for workers' comp attorneys and of course any other attorneys who want to come and learn what we know.
Sure.
And we're going to have some presentations about the new workers' comp task force for changes in the workers' compensation law. We're going to have someone from the National Organization of Workers' Compensation.
Willig.
Right. He's coming. He's the president-elect. He's going to be the next president of that organization. So he'll be here speaking about workers' comp in other states and comparisons. We're going to have someone who will speak to us about social media and building a practice through social media. And we're also going to have Judge Pat Ballard, who's going to talk about what he sees from the bench regarding workers' comp attorneys trying cases under the public hearing. We call it public's hearing.
Sure, it's the compensability
It's the
part of the case.
compensability hearing case. Okay, that's the workers' comp thing.
This sounds like a fantastic seminar. I know there's some real heavy hitters and lots of great information. September 14th at the Henniger Garrison Law Firm. How can folks, if they're interested in signing up, who are lawyers and want to get CLE credit, how do they register for this?
Okay, you can register by going online to the Alabama Lawyers for Justice website. And or if you're already a member of the Alabama Lawyers for Justice organization, then and you're on the listserv, then you can click on one of the emails we have out there and you can register. But most importantly, just go to the Alabama Lawyers for Justice website and register.
Very good. Before we wrap up, I see Attorney Dixon has put the Atlanta office number in there. Thank you. I see my buddy Nick out in California. Good morning, Nick. Thanks for tuning in. We've been talking with Ida Tyree-Hyche. We've been talking about veterans' rights and benefits, as well as the work comp seminar that she's helping to put together next month. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in with us again this week. Ida, thank you again for your expertise and giving us a little bit of your time. As always, we come to you every Tuesday at 10 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Pacific. We'll be back next Tuesday with another topic on the law. Thank you guys for, again, tuning in with us, whether you're watching this live or later on. And we will hopefully you guys will have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you again next week.